The East Baton Rouge Parish Library believes that a thriving business community is good for us all. That's why we help entrepreneurs start businesses with tools like Gale Business Builder. Keep commerce rolling by providing access to computers, printers, and free Wi-Fi at 14 branch locations. Get a library card. Grow your business at ebrpl.com/business.
Started making beer at home and immediately fell in love with it. After like the day of my first batch of brewing, I was already thinking, can I do this for a living?
Oh yeah, obsessed with it. He was totally consumed by it, and then looked at me one day and told me I was put on this earth to brew beer. And I was like, wow, that is such a bold statement. And if you can say that about anything, then you need to follow your dream and do it.
Good morning and welcome to Strictly Business. I'm your host, J.R. Ball. This webcast features conversations with Louisiana's most inspiring and influential CEOs and entrepreneurs with the goal of providing insights, ideas, and inspiration to help you and your business grow. Now, we want to keep Strictly Business as interactive as possible, so for those joining us live, here's an icebreaker question for you. Submit your vote in the comments and the results will be posted at the end of the webcast. Strictly Business is brought to you by the East Baton Rouge Parish Library and Home Bank. Without their support, this project would not be possible. Joining us today is Scott Woodward, a Baton Rouge native, a graduate of both Catholic High and LSU, and now, of course, the athletics director at LSU. We'll ask Scott to share his thoughts on why he seems to prefer big-name talent, managing a diverse $200 million organization, and leading during a period of industry disruption. Scott, welcome and thank you for being with us. Let me start by asking for a high-level overview of the business of Power 5 collegiate athletics and what seems to be a tremendous evolution that's taking place.
Yeah, it really is, JR, and that's probably an understatement because it is drastically changing. And as you well know, it's being changed not from within, but from without. Court systems and legislatures and people involved, or I should say not involved in athletics, are driving what is happening in the policy and all these transformational changes.
Yeah, and we'll get deeper into that, but I wanted to begin is with the start of your tenure as athletic director, and at least from an outsider's perspective, it's been defined by some pretty audacious head coaching hires. The immediate splash was getting, of course, Kim Mulkey to walk away from a women's basketball power she built at Baylor to come back to Louisiana. You replaced the retiring baseball coach Paul Maneri with Jay Johnson from Arizona. And obviously we have the top-ranked baseball team at the moment. And perhaps the biggest stunner of all wasn't necessarily that LSU decided to move on from Ed Orgeron, but that you were able to replace him by convincing Brian Kelly to leave Notre Dame. One might suggest you have a fascination with hiring big-name coaches, particularly if you look back to your time at Texas A&M with the hires of Jimbo Fisher and Buzz Williams. So that's a long setup to this two-point question. One, do you prefer high-profile hires? And two, what's the risk-reward of doing so? Yes, they bring immediate credibility, publicity, and perhaps the odds of success stack a bit in your favor, but such hires are also financially expensive and can end a career if they don't work out.
Yeah, JR. I mean, here again, you guys look way too into it and look for conspiracies and for, 3D chess and all this stuff. And it's basically very simple for me. I go out there and try to hire the best and the smartest people that are available, whether it's coaches or staff or anyone that I do. And hopefully, and I know they are brighter and better than I am. And for your business folks out there, I always tell people that I'm more of a executive producer of a film than an autocratic leader of a corporation where I have, 100% interest in my company and I can run it the way I want to run it. I'm not. And I have a lot of stakeholders and a lot of people involved. But when it comes to hiring coaches, I always try to hire the best, and LSU deserves the best. There's no question about it. And frankly, I look at it kind of the opposite way, is that, hey, why aren't we doing this? And why isn't Kim Mulkey here? Or why isn't Brian Kelly here, or Jay Johnson, or even our national championship winning coaches, Dennis Shaver or Chuck Winstead? That is what we need more of, and that's our expectation.
Well, so if we just take it for that, you're just looking for the best. Let me dive in just real quick and say, what does Scott Woodward look for as the CEO of LSU Athletics? What does Scott Woodward look for when hiring a head coach for any sport, whether it's football, men's golf, regardless?
Yeah, I'm not giving you the secret recipe, JR, but I'll give you the general views of it. And I led on to it. I'm not kidding. I hire people that are proven and who I think have the ability to have a good success here at LSU. And that starts off with people with a high IQ, very smart people. And there's no accident that Kim Mulkey was the valedictorian of her class at Hammond High, and these aren't accidents; they're correlations. And so, from that standpoint, I always look at very smart, proven people. And look, you don't always get it right. Things happen. We're human beings. Things change. We're not going to win all the time. And but the most important thing is that coaches can give you a vision and hope in what and how we can compete at a very high level.
So what carries more internal pressure for you? The process of hiring a football coach, or managing what's essentially a $200 million operation where the vast majority of revenue is generated by one division, yet costs are escalating across the board as the goal for every organizational unit is to be nationally competitive?
It's a great question. And my previous meeting to walking in here was about that budget and how we're going to continue to raise revenue, but also manage expenses. And it's a delicate balance. These things are very complicated, and you mentioned it. They're very, very expensive, and we're not, your grandfather's or your great grandfather's athletic department. Going back when, we're not a glorified PE program. We are a full-blown operation, auxiliary of LSU, which is a multi-billion-dollar organization, and we're a $200 million organization, counting TAF, and it's not just managing a household, it's managing that and doing it properly and looking beyond quarterly dividends like business folks have to do, but looking at 5-10 years of what and how we're going to project to where we're going to be. And that's how I think. And you have things that are immediate and people are in the moment, and that's a good thing for participating in athletics, but sometimes it's a bad thing when you're making long-term strategic decisions.
Well, the most significant transformation within college athletics has been the rise of name, image, and likeness. How has that changed the way LSU Athletics does business?
Yeah, it is. And here again, to my point in the opening, we didn't drive that. The courts drove that. And this is where we are with it, and we're reacting. But I'm not going to be one to bemoan the fact that, hey, this isn't the LSU game that I went to when I was a kid back in the 70s, and I was content to buy a Coca-Cola, bag of peanuts, a program, sit there 30 minutes before the game and study what I had to study in a program and consume it that way. People want to consume it differently and do things differently, and it's a much different thing, and I understand that. So NIL is just a piece of what we do. We still have to have facilities. We still have to have great personnel and coaches to support these kids and what and how they do it. And all these things add up, and NIL, if done right, is a very positive thing, and we're embracing it as a good thing for our student athletes to learn from. But as always, there are some salacious and bad things that happen in NIL, just like anything else in life. And that's the beauty of education and teaching and getting our student athletes to benefit from it, not only financially, but from an experience standpoint.
Well, as it comes to managing the athletic department, and I know a big chunk of this would be the Tiger Athletic Foundation, but if we set aside the money college athletes can earn as social media influencers or through large brand corporate affiliation. I'm wondering if the rise of collectives, which is essentially boosters pooling money to provide deals with athletes, could that be a more dramatic impact on the way college athletics has traditionally been structured?
Yeah, it's a great observation. Yes, the answer is yes, but it's also positive in my opinion because we understand what's going on and we can control what's happening and be fair in the way we distribute and do that and how we do it and how we can help with that, because I think our fans and our supporters want to support us, but they just don't understand what is involved with NIL. And we are educating them and showing them that, hey, this is not just a big money grab for them. These guys and gals earn what they do and how they do it. And it's just a piece of an obligation that we're going to ask them to do, not only do their schoolwork, but also do what we need to do from the collective standpoint, whether it's community service or whether it's doing something on behalf of LSU. It's a good thing. And I think it's a healthy step and a healthy bridge to help our student athletes.
Yeah. Well, and the reason I was asking specifically about the collectives is because, the old model, and let's exempt for the moment the old summer jobber programs, but the old model was for boosters to donate money to LSU or to the TAF, and those funds would, among other things, augment coaching salaries and then fund the never-ending stream of facilities projects. So is there a sense that securing donations outside of that required to purchase season tickets might prove a bit more challenging going forward as boosters are increasingly being asked to pay into these collectives? I mean, yes, there are some really wealthy people out there who love LSU, but at some point, some people may have to make a decision. Do I pay into the collective or do I make a $50,000 donation to the TAF, or how does that all work out?
Yeah, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. I think you can go into it, JR, by saying, hey, this is just another piece of what we need to do for the student athlete. Yes, they have to have facilities. Yes, they have to have great coaches, strength coaches, trainers, academic advisors, housing, everything we do for them, nutrition, and NIL is a piece of that. Like you said, we no longer have a jobber program because they don't have time to work anymore. So we can do stuff with these collectives, and I think it can be a healthy biosphere, to use a bad metaphor, to work in and to do what we do in, and to keep it healthy and to keep that team thing healthy, even though we're doing a lot of individual stuff with NIL. But it's something I think we can get there, and it's a area that's tricky, but I think we can figure it out, and I think we are doing a great job of doing it, and I think some people aren't, and that's the great thing about the challenges that we have in front of us.
And last question on this topic. Based on some of the language that was in the Supreme Court decision about 18 months ago, do you see a day in our future where athletic departments or universities are directly compensating athletes? I mean, direct salaries above the cost of a scholarship or other current benefits?
I certainly hope not. I don't think so. But yeah, it's you get two different opinions. Here again, you have a very left-wing view of things where you have people that think we're exploiting the kids, and then you have this very right-wing people of thinking, hey, you're not letting free enterprise work. And I feel like that old 70s song, clowns to the left and jokers to the right. Here I am stuck in the middle. And I am, and we are, but we're going to figure it out and do what's best, not only for our student athletes, but for LSU and for the entire enterprise, the community, and everything else we do. We just have to do a better job of telling that, because I think we're getting into that nice position of doing and winning for both.
Well, the fact that both you and I are aware of the Steve Miller Band might say something about our age, but that's another topic for another day. But your professional career began as the co-owner of a government and public relations firm that, among other things, provided strategic direction to Fortune 500 companies. I'm wondering what skills or lessons from that period might continue to influence or shape the way you manage LSU's athletic department.
Very much so. And I was very lucky to have some great corporations that I worked for and represented and given them that advice. And it's things are complicated and things are different. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's human interaction and how we deal with people. And that was always the strategic view of doing it, whether how a community looked at a corporation or how a governmental body looked at a corporation. And that's what I dealt with and all the time. And I think about it, and I'm blessed, to have that experience and have that background. I drive my PR people and my messaging people nuts. Cody Warsham, who's in my space right now, but because I try to live by, and he may disagree with me, I try to live by the adage that a doctor's his own worst patient. So I do take Cody's advice and I do listen, but I do have an acute view of things, and he and I talk about them a lot off the record, and we have that great situation. So yeah, JR, my corporate experience has been just invaluable.
So your first stint at LSU, at least professionally, came in 2000 when then Chancellor Mark Emmert hired you as Director of External Affairs, as well as the Chancellor's representative to the athletic department. What did you learn working with Emmert, who believed a successful athletic department was an important component to having a successful academic side to the university?
Yeah, I hate to say it, and here again, full of cliches as we are, JR, it's the Holy Grail, and I'm a believer in that. And you look at our enrollment numbers and see how well we're doing because of athletic success. It matters, and it is, to use the overused cliche, it is our front porch, and people view us that way. And students, whether they're student athletes or general student population, want this great experience that we have at LSU, and this SEC experience and what and how we do it. And it's an important part of what and how they're brought about in their education process and in their socialization process. So I don't shy away from it. I don't hide from it. I'm very proud of it. But I do understand, first and foremost, we are an academic institution, and we're just here to help and support and do the things that we do in a very positive and powerful way.
Yeah. And every job is a chance to grow, learn, and evolve. So I'm wondering what lessons or perspectives you've taken from your previous athletic director jobs at the University of Washington and Texas A&M that sort of influence or apply to what you're doing today.
Yeah, but very much a lot alike. And the two most important things, first is understand your environment. Seattle's a lot different than College Station. And College Station's different from Baton Rouge, not as much as people think, but it is. There are different types of environments. You got to understand how to operate in those, and you got to understand what those shareholders, those student athletes, those students, those donors, everyone, what their goals are, and how to collectively work with them, and what and how you do it. And then the second thing is and most importantly is that always stick with what you know and how you do it. Just hire good people to do important things, whether you're building facilities, whether you're hiring coaches, whether you're recruiting student athletes. It's all the same thing, is excellence. And back to your point of me hiring great coaches, is it a vanity thing? And it's not. It's just, like I told you, I manage like an executive producer of a film. If I can get, here again, I'm going to show my age. If I can get Paul Newman and Robert Redford, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to take Joe Schmo off the street and take a risk. It's going to guarantee success 90% of the time if I have one of those guys on the big screen. And that's how I feel about coaches, and that's how I feel about student athletes and staff around me. Those are the two most important things that I've learned in my experience.
Well, if the athletic department is as good as the Sting, you'll be okay. So there's that for you. But with any organization as large as the athletic department is, you're going to have a lot of different personality types. How do you manage that? And what tips might you give to those in our audience who run their own organization?
Yeah, embrace it. Diversity is good. And I don't mean the woke stuff that's out there right now. I'm talking about diversity in thought, diversity in skin color, diversity in and sexual orientation, diversity in everything. I mean, everything you look at, uh, look at how people think, because I always like different attitudes, and I like a lot of eyes on things than people coming from different perspectives. I encourage that stuff, but diversity for diverse sake, no. Diversity for making you better, hell yeah. That's all I'm about, and that's all I've been about in my whole career, and that's what makes us great and makes us better. And this is what makes, frankly, Baton Rouge and this state better, is that how we look at things and how collectively we can do great things together. I mean, the greatest thing in this state, in my opinion, that we're known for is gumbo, and that is nothing but a diverse throwing it all together and looking at it, and that's how I've always lived.
Well, one thing that is fairly constant is that coaches by nature are driven individuals who want every advantage they can get in the quest to be successful. So if we accept that as a given, how do you both respect that while also getting them to buy into the larger vision of the department or the university?
Awesome question again, JR. Yeah, it's hard, because they're taught to fight for their slice of the world and advocate full steam ahead from it. And I have to do a lot of, educating and showing them, hey, look, this is for the greater good. We've got to do these things to get there. I mean, it's so important what and how we do it. And as you mentioned earlier, our finances are very unique in the way we look at things, because it's generated essentially by one sport, and another one contributes a little bit, or the other two contribute a little bit. So it is important, and you just have to keep doing it and keep, trying to look at things in that sense, and I go back here again to JR, our generation and our childhood. We all probably read growing up To Kill a Mockingbird, and there's a great Atticus Finch quote, is that you never really know a man till you put on his shoes and walk around in them a little bit. And I always think about that, and I always try to get my coaches to think about that. I was like, hey, put on my shoes, man. How do you look? Look at this budget. This is what I can do. And I'm going to fight like hell, not just to manage it like I'm managing, again, a Kool-Aid stand or a household budget, but I'm managing a big organization, and that we're looking at things long-term, and we're trying to invest and do these things. And it's difficult, but it's fun.
Well, not only have you reached out to go after the best in the coaching ranks, but you've also assembled a pretty high-powered group of administrators to help run the multiple facets of the department. While they may not get the attention of a Brian Kelly or Kim Mulkey, but explain why such individuals, in your view, are critical to the overall success of the athletic department.
Yeah, it speaks for itself. I mean, it's as we founding fathers said, self-evident. It just works. And when you have good people and you have excellent people, you try to retain them and get them, and you're always looking for that. And that's the beauty of working for the LSU, is that we have a list and a line of people that want to work here. And as much as we like to keep our people happy and doing well, sometimes they have to move on to do things and look at a better opportunity. But we always have a deep bench, and we always have people that come here and do things. I mean, I'll give you an example. I'm sitting here, right now, on our social media and marketing folks. They're the best in America. I've had, for God's sake, the universe, the center of the universe, hire one of our people, and that was at USC. They have the Lucasfilm School, for God's sake, and they're hiring LSU's social media folks. And it's just, that's the ultimate, hey, we're doing it right, and we're going to continue to do it right. And I like that, but it's so important when we talk about human capital and investing in them. It's not just doing that just to do it. It's important in what we do, because we are in a people business.
One other area of transformation that seems to be taking place is the influx of significant dollars that are coming out of television contracts. It's pumping millions into conferences like the Southeastern Conference, and then, of course, it trickles down to LSU and the other member institutions. While that does provide an awful lot of revenue that enables y'all to do more things, It also impacts some of the traditions that the university has traditionally had, whether you're talking about Saturday night kickoffs and other things that go involved. Clearly, the bowl system is going away as TV drives the BCS national championship and what have you. I'm just wondering that balancing act between the traditions and the passions that make college athletics so special versus the need for that financial engine to keep pumping out the money.
Here again, a great question that I don't have an answer to, but it's a question and it's a subject we address every single day, and we talk about it every single day. And it goes all the way down to not only what you said, but how does a fan in the millennial generation versus the baby boomer generation want to experience Tiger football? Man, the music we play, the experience that you talk about and how we do it. Kids want to go to their device, and fans want to sit there, in the baby boomer generation, experience it differently, watch it like we used to watch it. But you have to be cognizant of that and know that and know that going forward, that it is not only it's not a bifurcated fan base, it's a schizophrenic fan base. It's all over the map, and you have to make them happy. And thank goodness, I think LSU, and I didn't have anything to do with it, has struck that fine balance of tradition, fun, getting after it, modernization, and what and how we've done it in a way that's second to none. I mean, this brand and this the way we do it is admired and envied by the nation, and I'm very proud here again to be a steward of this operation because of that piece.
Well, because it's been in the news of late, can you just share quickly what's the status of the PMAC and what might happen? I know groups have studied it. What can you share with us based on where we're at the moment?
Yeah, there's nothing new to share except we're looking very hard at it. And JR, it's going to be a mosaic. It's not going to be just, hey, here's the money, build it, and you're going to have another 50-year-old building to occupy to have graduations and basketball games. We're looking at a lot of different things and a lot of methods on how we do things. And, we may steal a page out of the university's book and what I've done at other places in public-private partnerships. As you well know, our gorgeous dormitories over on Nicholson Drive now, we're a private-public partnership and joint venture, and we're looking at a lot of things like that we haven't gotten to the point where we're ready to push the button, but we are in the process of trying to put this mosaic of funding and new facilities together, and we're working very hard on it.
So I'll sort of wrap up with this. What's a good day at the office look like for Scott Woodward?
Good day at the office is every day. I wake up smiling every day. I really do. And I love what I do, whether it's problem solving or whether it's, winning or how you're doing it. But, if you had to say what's the best Monday morning, is when all of our sports won over the weekend and I wake up on the Monday morning with a big smile on my face. That's Scott Woodward's happy spot.
Scott, thank you so very, very, very much.
Thank you, JR. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys.
And thanks also to our viewers for making the time to join us today, as well as our sponsors, the East Baton Rouge Parish Library and Home Bank. Please join us July 19th for the next edition of Strictly Business. Until then, enjoy and make your day a great one.